Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Gaming here, back in another video. Today's episode, I wanted to make a small guide on how to play Skarner Jungle for beginners, just kind of getting into League of Legends, or maybe you haven't played the rework Skarner, and this is the first time that you're seeing this new champion. So just kind of go over some of the basics, kind of get you going in some of your first league games with him. So start with some of the pros on Skarner. So Skarner's pretty decent during the entire game. He scales pretty well. His mid game's pretty good, and his early game is pretty decent. Another pro of Skarner is he's also very tanky. He's a tanky champion, so he fits into most team compositions. Another pro is that he does have a suppress ultimate. So his ultimate is extremely strong. It's extremely high impact. And also his E is very good for ganks. We'll kind of review what this is here in a minute, but it kind of works as like a mini Scion charge. Then now some of the cons of the champion is he is strong throughout all parts of the game, but if you do get shut down early, you're not going to have quite as much impact. That goes for, any jungler in the game. But if you do get behind, you do lose a lot of dueling presence, dueling threat in the game, and you're going to really rely more on ganks. So Skarner's going to be a tank. He's going to be initiator for your team, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult to solo carry games with him, as it will require kind of setting up your teammates and playing around them. And then another thing that he's really good with is he's good at canceling other people's channeling ults. Something like a Katarina, something like a Nunu. He has lots of stuns, and he's good against those types of champions. Okay, for his runes, we're going to be running Grasp of the Undying. This is going to give us some health scaling. We're going to be running Shield Bash. Shield Bash is good for us because our W is a shield. We have Conditioning. This is going to give us a scaling, armor, magic resist, and then overgrowth as well, giving us more permanent health increase. Over on the very right, we are going a magical footwear. This is going to give us some free boots at 12 minutes that are a little bit stronger. And then approach velocity, give you a little bit more movement speed for ganks. Starter spells, we are taking Flash as well as Smite, which makes complete sense since we're a jungler. And then your max order in the jungle is going to be very straightforward. Q, W, E, and then taking, of course, R whenever it is available. E is mainly a tool for ganks, right? We don't want to put a lot of points into it. It's not going to increase our clear speed at all. W is going to help us sustain, and it will help our clear a little bit in terms of damage. And most of our damage is going to come through our Q, Shattered Earth Upheaval. So just to show you what that looks like, you can press it, you pick up a rock, you press it again, and you throw it down. Now, the reason it's such a short cooldown is because I have the auto refresh cooldowns on. We'll turn that off, and then we'll run over to our red buff here and just show you what it normally looks like. So you see it's got about a 5-second cooldown, completely maxed at full build. We can use our W here for a shield, and we can continue to pick up rocks and slam them down. And that is a big bulk of his gameplay loop right there, is back and forth between his Q and his W. Let's take a quick look at his passive. So his passive here is Threads of Vibration. Skarner's attack, Shattered Earth, Upheaval, and Impale apply Quaking for 4 seconds. At 3 stacks of Quaking, enemies take 9% max health damage over its duration. So this is going to give us a little bit of dueling power. It's going to really help us in team fights as well, because this is a max health damage, which means this is going to be pretty good into more tanky compositions. Right, so you just kind of go through your abilities, you press them, you get stacks of this quaking effect that does damage. Now, probably the real reason that most of us have clicked on this video is due to Skarner's iconic ultimate. So his ultimate here is Impale. So we'll just read it out. Skarner's tail lashes forward, dealing magic damage, suppressing the first 3 champions he hits for 1.5 seconds. Those hits are dragged along by Skarner for the duration of the ability. If Skarner hits at least 1 champion, he has 40% movement speed for 1.5 seconds. And at the bottom, if Shattered Earth is active, Skarner will cast Upheaval first. So you can actually queue up your Q ability before you impale with your ultimate. Okay, let's take a look at what a typical engage would look like. So you're going to typically go in with your E. You'll immediately W, Q, and then ultimate, right? Because if you queue up your Q ability, your Impale will auto cast the second charge of it. So we'll just take a look at it really quick. We'll charge in, W, Q, ult. We'll drag them to our teammates, and we will just kind of continue the spam between Q and W from here. And then another thing you see here is this is our passive ticking. You can see this sort of like poison effect that's happening. That's going to be our Threads of Vibration. Does a decent amount of damage. It's actually pretty low right here because these target dummies have low health. And again, it does percent max health damage over time. So look at that one more time. We'll charge in. WQ ult. Drag him back. And that's your typical engage. It looks a little weird there because I had my auto refresh cooldowns set. So I don't think my Q is activating again. But you get the general idea. Okay, let's quickly talk about itemization. So you're going slightly magic footwear, so you'll have to wait a while till you get your fully upgraded boots. But when you do, it's typically going to be plated steel caps. If not, you can, of course, go the MR boots as well. And you're probably going to be going into more health scaling on this champion. So he has 3 items that are pretty core. That's going to be his Heart Steel, his Unending Despair, and then his plated steel caps or his MR boots. So those 3 items are going to be core. And then typically in a normal game with the balanced composition, you're going to be running like a Thorn Mail and a Spirit Visage, right, to get some of that MR, to get some of that armor. And then a Randuin's Omen is also pretty good as a final item because you get that active slow effect, right? So you can go in, you can impale like 3 enemies, and then you can hit them all with this Randuin's Omen and slow them and really lock down 3 people for a pretty decent amount of time with a Randuin's Omen. So what you're looking at here is a pretty normal build. Obviously, I have the jungle item. I can't sell it. I can't get rid of it. So Randuin's Omen would take its spot when that item does evolve. There are also some other optional options you can take. Something like a Frozen Heart is going to be really good if they have a lot of attack speed-based champions. Right, going to reduce that attack speed. Knight's Vow is also pretty good if you have somebody who's really ahead, like an ADC who's like 8-0 or something. Or if you're against like a heavy Assassin's comp, and you want to try to keep that person alive, and they're your carry, right? So this is a pretty sleeper item as well. And then final item here is going to be the Jock Show. It's going to give us that stacking armor and a magic resist, which is probably going to be better than something like a Thorn Mail if you're not needing that Grievous Wound effect. Or it might be the better option to place over the Spirit Visage if they don't have that many MR champions, maybe just one. This is a pretty good balanced option. But kind of the middle ground right between Thorn Mail and our Spirit Visage. Okay, let's quickly talk about his clear from level 1. So typically you'll just start over here on your blue buff and you'll nuke this guy down. And then once that guy is dead, you'll go over to your Gromp. And typically you can kill him early game. Typically it takes 3 Qs to take this guy out. But a lot of times what you can do is you can pull the Gromp out to about here and kill him with your ticking passive. That's going to be the most efficient way to do that. And then Wolves will be pretty straightforward. You're just going to come in here, going back and forth between your Q and your W. And then once you go over to Raptors here, you're actually going to E through this wall. Right. Come in here, kill Raptors. Then you will go down to your red buff. The same thing, kill red buff. And then as you're killing red buff, you're actually going to throw a boulder over the wall here so that the Krugs can come around and you can meet them right here to save you a little bit more pathing time. So that is your straightforward sort of standard clear. Nothing too special with Gromp. Nothing too special top side really outside of the E over the wall. And then nothing too special bot side outside of throwing the Q here on the golems. All right, guys, that should be it for this video. Just kind of wanted to quickly recap what this champion is if you haven't seen him in a while. And it just kind of helps people get started with how to play him, kind of showcase some of his abilities, that sort of jazz. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please consider liking, subscribing. See you in the next one.